Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Run It Back, everyone, with a show where we try to get things right the second time. Today we've got a sweet deck, which of course went 3-0 myself the other night. I had a lot of fun. It was great. Obviously, as we can see here, we started off with Krenko, Baron of Tin Street, and things got wild from there. So without further ado, let's jump into the draft. Starting off with pack 1, pick 1, you can see obviously we're going to be torn between Lazav, Weaver of Fates, and Krenko, Baron of Tin Street, both great cards. I happen to have already played with Lazav, so that's why I took Krenko. I think there's also something to be said about wanting to be in a singular color rather than in double color right away, but, you know, both these cards extremely powerful. Happy to have either of them. Moving on to pack 1, pick 2, this is where I was really excited about it. We saw an Assemble the Players, and I think that this card is just awesome. I think it's so good, even with the once a turn restriction. I think it's phenomenal. The other cards I'm looking at are Extract a Confession, Topiary Panther, and of course the Chase is on is a reasonable but late pick. Pick 3, we saw a Hunted Bone Brute still around. Notably, we also saw a Repulsive Mutation and a couple of other reasonable green and black cards, but Hunted Bone Brute is a house 6 power on turn 3, or, of course, if you'd go with the Disguise on turn 4 attacking, is just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Pick 4, we could go in a couple different directions. We saw the Gearbang Orangutan. We saw a Topiary Panther here as well. Not on My Watch is one of the best removal spells in the format. And even though we're going to go with like an aggressive format, this helps win us some races. So I really like the Not on My Watch here. Moving on to pick 5, we saw we had a removal spell here in Case of the Burning Mask. I thought about going with something like Push Pull, which of course is another great removal spell, as well as a late game card. But we're not 100% in black, and I don't think Pull is really what you want to be doing with Assemble the Players cards, you know, Power 2 or less, and Krenko, which are aggressive cards. Slice in the Shadow is also great, but I think just sort of solidifying us in red and having this Case of the Burning Masks is a great pick. Moving on to pack 1, pick 6. There wasn't a whole lot here for us. We did have this Absolving Lamassu, which I didn't think was exactly what we wanted. There was also an Alley Assailant, which also really wasn't exactly what we wanted. But this Demand Answers works fine as a Tormenting Voice. It also happens to maybe trigger Krenko if we're already sacrificing an artifact for it. You know, a Thopter or a Clue or something like that. So, not happy about this pick, but perfectly fine. Moving into pack 1, pick 7. At this point, I'm still probably playing all 3 colors, you know, red-white with a little bit of splash, or maybe red-black with a little bit of splash. And so Escape Tunnel is great for the fixing. I think this is primarily in Evolving Wilds, but every now and again, it's going to end up giving you 2 damage when you really need it. And so I love this card. Moving on to pack 1, pick 8. We did see a Chase is on. Early in the format, I would have looked at Expose the Culprit, and there may be a deck for this. One day I hope to play it, but for now, Chase is on, exactly what we want to be seeing. Convenient target, great on the wheel, exactly what we want to push through some damage. Not really thrilled with any of these cards, so we just sort of skipped over it. Another Demand Answer is not really great, but this Sanitation Automaton, pack 1, pick 12, was great. I love this pick. I think that this card is awesome in aggressive decks. I think it trades with morphs early. It helps fix either your mana or your card draw or whatever. I just think that this card has no business being as good as it is. This card is significantly better than it looks. And of course, moving on to pack 2, pick 1. We did not open a rare that we wanted. We didn't even really open an uncommon we wanted. We could look at the Night Drinker Moroi. We could also look at this Soul Innervation. But we have one singular black card. And I just didn't think that we really wanted to go down that road. Plus, Person of Interest could be cast off of Assemble the Players. So we took the Person of Interest. I could see the Night Drinker Moroi. I could see the Auspicious Arrival. But I think just casting things off of the Assemble the Players is where we wanted to be. We saw Dogwalker. Another call out here to Inside Source. But I think Dogwalker is more of what we wanted to go. You know, go wide strategy. Plus, if you cast it on 2 for 3 power, that obviously can be very powerful as well. Moving on to pack 2, pick 3. We did see it connecting the dots. I seriously considered picking it. We also have this Bullrock Clan Basher. Very powerful stuff, but it's really tough to pass up a Lightning Helix when you're in white-red. It just solidifies exactly what we want to be doing. And as of right now, we've got 4 cards we don't mind wheeling. Even with an On the Job as a potential 5th card, we don't mind wheeling. So Lightning Helix, phenomenal. I kind of wish we could take 4 or 5 cards out of this pack. Pack 2, pick 4. Not a lot for us. This Market Watch Phantom is fine. It works particularly well with the cards you want to be casting off of Assemble the Players. We do have a bit of public fixing here with Public Thoroughfare, but none of that compares to a Shock. Early, easy, cheap removal. Allows you to double spell. Great card. Looking at this pack again, I don't really like any of these cards. None of them are exciting. None of them are fun. You know, I guess we could take the black-red morph, but in general, I don't know. Goblin Maskmaker. What it does is it allows us to cast the Dog Walker on 2 or, get in for a little bit of damage. We're early beats, so getting in for early beats is good. Pack 2, pick 6. We did have a couple of white cards, which I'm not thrilled with, but this 2-mana 2/2 gets cast off Assemble the Players. Maybe it deals it a little bit of extra damage, but just curving out 2-mana 2/2 is great. On pack 2, pick 7, we had a Convenient Target or a Dog Walker. Both were great cards. I even didn't hate a Scene of the Crime in this deck. That probably sounds like it would have been good as well. But we ended up going with Dog Walker just because it is more in our colors, establishes us as red-white, and 3 bodies for 1 card. It's just too much to pass up. I really like a Convenient Target. I'll probably take as many of these as I can get my hands on, but we need bodies to put those Convenient Targets on. As we see our last pack before the wheel, we see an Innocent Bystander here. Really nothing that exciting on this pick. We take a red card because we're playing red. Pack 2, pick 9. I was really happy to see that the Night Drinker Moroi wheeled, and we ended up taking it even though we'd already sort of established that black was not going to be a creature that we were going to be playing. So we did take it because I didn't want my 3rd demand answers, but there's always a chance that if we see something huge in pack 3, like a Rakdos or something like that, that we'd be splashing black, and this card is great to be splashing with. Gadget Technician is awesome. It casts off of Morph for Assemble the Players. Also ends up making a Thopter for Krenko to sacrifice or get in for 1. Really happy with Gadget Technician as a late pickup. I wouldn't pick this up very early. Suspicious Detonation works great for some of the clues that we have to end up, cracking a clue, getting some of that mana back, and then playing the Suspicious Detonation. Also obviously works great against killing Morphs, which is really important in this format. We saw a second Night Drinker Moroi, and then a Presumed Dead, which I don't think we're going to end up playing, even if we are in black, but, it's a good tech spell to have, maybe in the sideboard. Moving on to pack 3, pick 1. I wasn't really interested in splashing blue for this ill-timed explosion, and I love me a case of the locked hothouse, but this deck just isn't it. So we're pretty much between this Detonation. We could have taken Knife, I suppose, but Market Watch Phantom casts itself off of Assemble the Players, gains flying when we cast other things off Assemble the Players, and just is a good niche set in our deck. We did see a Makeshift Binding in pack 2, which was awesome. Really happy about this pick. And then pack 3, pick 3 was when it all came crashing down. Really happy to see Red Herring. Crime Novelist is reasonable for us, but Aurelia, the Law Above, won us multiple games as a huge 4/4 Flying Vigilance Haste. Super good card. We even got the Lightning Helix effect off in one game, and that won us a game, which was sick. Really happy to see pack 3, pick 3, Aurelia. I was looking at Galvanize here. I was also looking at Innocent Bystander, but just a little bit of fixing. We still were sort of maybe possibly splashing black because this card is just that powerful. And obviously a little bit of fixing would help. Plus, if we took these, 20-some cards and just sleeved them up, I was happy with that deck. I didn't think a Galvanize was really going to be necessary in order to make our deck better. But obviously, Galvanize is great. We got a late Connecting the Dots here, which I believe we ended up playing. Works particularly well with Assemble the Players. Lots of little creatures, gets lots of cards. If we see a card on top we don't like, we attack in with something, get rid of it, and then maybe cast a different spell off the Assemble the Players. On the Job works great. Again, lots of little creatures with the assemble the players, so popping them up with the on the job. We ended up siding this out a couple of different times just because we were playing against some more controlling decks, but overall I think this is good for game 1. And then kaboom, pack 3, pick 7. We saw an Aurelia in pack 3 earlier, and now we see a second assemble the players. It was wild. I was so happy with this. One thing to note is that assemble the player says once each turn. That is per enchantment you have down. So one enchantment is allowed to cast for one card. A second enchantment allows you to cast a second card. And then obviously comparing that with connecting the dots, we really get some card advantage in red-white, which never really happens, right? We have a couple of clue spells like the Chases On, but cards like this really just allow you to grind out those last points of damage after you've already dealt 15 to your opponent early, which is sweet. Also, cute thing to note, 3 rares in this pack, and they all made it around to pick 7. Following things up, we did end up playing this Forum Familiar. I thought it was a good one. I think we took out the Chases On. We'll take a look at the deck here in just a moment. Had a second Suspicious Detonation, a third Suspicious Detonation, a second Gadget Technician, Magnifying Glass, and a Pick Your Poison. Taking a look at the deck, as you can see here, we played 2 Suspicious Detonations. We set our on the job with the Chases On, but the big 3 right over here are assemble the players and connecting the dots. I do know that often we ended up taking out both the Chases On and the on the job for the 2 Gadget Technicians. And there's a good possibility that should have just been in here from the start, or maybe at least one or the other. But those things really added up to the number of targets our assemble the players could end up hitting. The other thing, looking back on this deck, we might have been able to shave a land because we'd still have 8 sources of each, probably shaving a plains, I think, so that way we had red early on. The last card that didn't really play out as well as hoped was Goblin Mask Maker. It was fine if you drew it in your opening hand. It also just cast for free off of the assemble the players, but in general it was a pretty low impact and something I probably would have replaced if I went back. If you'd like your deck featured on Run It Back, make sure to send me an email at runitbackmtg@gmail.com, or of course send me a message in the Discord. Other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you next time.